Shortcut number 3. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain, and he showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I'll give you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. And the idea behind the Greek verb here is that just one time. Just bow down and worship me once, Jesus, and you'll have all these kingdoms. Jesus said to him, away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And so as you're following along with your notes, shortcut number 3, what's happening here is a word to remember is rule. There's an easier way. Satan was saying, Jesus, you can rule. There's an easier way. Satan was tempting Jesus to shortcut God's plan of the cross as the way for Jesus to redeem humanity. 1 Peter tells us that Jesus knew that at the end of his life, he was going to have to go through suffering and through death before he went back to glory in heaven. And so could you imagine knowing that was coming? Put yourself in Jesus' point of view. That's coming. He's tired, he's hungry, he's lonely in this wilderness. And if he would have just bowed down and worshiped Satan one time, it would all end. And that he would never have to go to the cross and endure the agony and the suffering. You know, the Bible in multiple places calls Satan the prince of this world. And for a time, God has given Satan rule. He hasn't given him sovereign rule, but he's given him rule over this unbelieving world. So Satan really did have the authority to offer these kingdoms to Jesus in this circumstance. And the temptation was for Jesus to shortcut all this agony of the cross and just win people's hearts through political power and control instead of humble and sacrificial love on the cross. But Jesus knew, I've got 2 options. I can either obey my Father's plan or I can worship Satan, but I can't serve both. I wonder for you, when are you tempted to shortcut God's plan so that you can have an advantage in your life? Maybe you're tempted to not report a little bit of that income so that you can save a little money on those taxes. Maybe you're tempted to, when you work on a team project, take all the credit for yourself instead of giving it to the team. Maybe you're tempted to hang it up and rest instead of finishing the work that God has given you to do. You know, we don't like it, but God's means in our life is often a lot more like a slow-cooking crock pot than it is a fast-cooking microwave. And we experience times of trial and temptation instead of slowing down and listening to say, God, what are you trying to teach me through this? Our goal is often just to rush through it and to get through it as quick as we can. When we experience trial and temptation, instead of thanking God, that's actually a biblical thing to do, to thank God for those trials. We rush through it because we want to get it over with in our lives. And then as we rush through it, we try to do things so that we forget about the pain that those trials and temptations are causing us. Sometimes it's things that are very socially acceptable to try to forget about the pain, and maybe we'll go shopping and buy something new because that helps me forget about the reality of my life. Maybe we'll just spend a ton of time on the television or on our phones or some sort of social media because dealing with that and just kind of letting my mind go however it wants to go is sure a lot better than dealing with the reality of my life. We do socially acceptable things, and we also do super harmful things, and we get involved in addicted to behaviors and substances because taking those things is easier than dealing with the pain of the reality of our lives. I want to talk to those of you who are here this morning who are maybe in a trial right now, maybe facing a temptation that just seems like every day it's beating you and it's causing you to sin. You're in the middle of something and God hasn't removed you from it yet. I want to encourage you that God has a plan for you to go through that he probably even led you to that because he wants to use it to shape you and make you more like him. And I want to encourage you to trust God's perfect timing, his perfect plan for your life, because he knows the exact moment when that's supposed to end so that you can learn exactly what you need to learn. Don't rush through it. Allow God's will to work itself out in your life. You know, it's so easy for us to shortcut that plan in our lives, but Jesus said, get out of here, Satan. My mission is to obey my Father and to obey him only. Jesus, his mission involved the cross. And whether we like it or not, as followers of Christ, our mission also involves the cross also. When we're tempted to shortcut God's plan for our own advantage, remember our Savior who endured the cross, that you and I would endure our cross.